Carl. How are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. Nice to talk with you this evening, Ralph.
Yes, well, I met you at Joel Christopher's double birthday bash, and I was impressed with just your presentation and just your wonderful spirit, and I wanted to ask you a couple questions about heroism. Do you have a dream or vision that set your course in your life?
Yes, I've always had dreams, Ralph. I don't know how people can really exist without those. I grew up in a very poor part of central Mississippi, and my first dream was to get out of there and experience life in the mainstream. And therefore, I chose engineering, and so it's progressed down the years from working on nuclear power plants to having my own consulting companies, and then to learn marketing, and then finally to develop the marketing technology to allow entrepreneurs all over the world to benefit from more effective marketing.
Why did you shift over from working on nuclear power plants to working on nuclear marketing? Well,
I really loved engineering, and then I decided that after working for almost all the big companies, that I wanted to have my own consulting companies. And when I did that, then I found the most fun part of engineering consulting wasn't actually doing the consulting, it was doing the sales. The most fantastic experience I had was when I had my little company, which was in South Texas, competing with the 17 big engineering companies around the world up in Rochester, New York, and I got to work. It was so much fun to actually do that, and I said if I love doing marketing, which I did, I should do it full time. So I went to find the best marketing consultant in the world, who was Jay Abraham, and I actually went to work for him initially and did joint ventures with him then toward the end. So for me, it was a natural progression, even though it was a strange progression.
You know, it's interesting. How does nuclear engineering relate to internet marketing?
Well, everything in life can be optimized if you use the right system. And all nuclear power plants are a series of systems. I bet quite a few of them that are related together using certain feedback equations and using computers. So it's very systematic. If you apply the same to marketing, you can get systematic, repeatable results. If you don't use a system, then you can't really optimize anything, and so you're at the mercy of the world. By using systems, you can test, track, optimize, and essentially create whatever you want in your life.
You know, after working with Jay Abraham, you pretty much have the opportunity to work with any of the leading internet marketers. Why did you choose Joel Christopher?
Well, Joel has a system that allows people to optimize what they're doing on the internet. It's about how to develop list of suspects and then convert them into prospects, paying clients, and then highly valued clients. And again, it's my belief if you have a system that works, you're able to achieve much more in life. So what I want to do is to work with Joel to help him bring his system to people, to entrepreneurs all over the world.
You know, you had some pretty incredible success with Jay Abraham. I think that you guys did like a $12 million sale of his instructional material.
Yes. Well, what we did there is I did essentially 5 different programs in 3 years that generated a little over $11 million in sales.
That's pretty amazing. I imagine that through, just working with Jay and just in life, that you've had some setbacks and misfortunes and made some mistakes. Is it important to take a positive view of those things that didn't go right?
Oh, yes. One of our big successes was a program we call the PEQ, which was the Performance Enhancement Quotient, which was another word for plans, policies, and procedures. On that program, we made a little over $3.5 million in sales. But the ironic thing was the first letter we sent out on the subject, we sent it out to over 14,000 people, and we got 0 sales, which is a miracle in reverse.
How is that?
Well,
how could that be?
In Jay's list, if you send a letter to the top 14,000 clients, they'll buy just about anything. At least 5 or 6 will. And so it was amazing that when you had a fantastic product that no one bought. So we knew that we had just articulated the offer the wrong way, and then we wrote it up the right way, and people bought it in droves.
So obviously you've got to be an optimist. When that massive failure occurred, did you have a positive view on trying something different?
Well, sometimes it's hard to have a positive view. But what we did is we were about 3 weeks from the program, and we had 0 people signed up, and we had to figure out if we were going to essentially write off the whole thing or come up with an alternate strategy. And so we dug in and came with an alternate strategy and then made it pay off.
Did you believe at that time that your dreams had become true?
Yes, definitely. I wasn't sure it would come true in that particular program, though.
I imagine so. When you're working with people that are such high-powered individuals, do you readily forgive those who upset, offend, and oppose you?
Well, definitely. Most of the people, when they do something to offend you or hurt you, they're not really trying to. In general, they're focusing on their problems, and sometimes they lash out at you because you're the only thing in front of them. And if you don't take people's reactions personally, you don't have their problems. It's only when you react personally to what they're doing, then you not only have your problems but theirs too.
How important is it to experience service to others as a source of joy?
Well, I think that in life we have certain joys, and one of the things is to do something really good for someone else. Like, I loved working in the marketing field, especially when I was marketing training products for entrepreneurs, because I knew that the people that bought the programs from me were going to have much more success in their life. They were going to be able to give to the community, to their families, and to the world at large. So it really makes a big difference when you can go home at night and feel good just about life in general, and especially about what you've done.
You know, in working with entrepreneurs, they're a pretty unique group of people. Do you think that a sense of humor really is important in facing the serious problems that you come across and dealing with those people?
Oh, yes. Entrepreneurs are really the lifeblood of the world. And when you consider that 9 out of 10 go out of business the first year, you really have to have a sense of humor and view life as a fun process.
I know that Ted thinks that heroes are really the entrepreneurs who are making a difference in the world. Do you believe that's true?
Oh, yes, definitely. If you think about all the little things that happen to you, whether it's you order pizza at night, you get food, you go to the grocery store, no matter what you do, you're dealing with entrepreneurs. And they really provide the quality of life for you. And that's really what makes the world go round. It's not the Fortune 500 companies that make the cars and things like that. It's the little guys that work with the Fortune 500 companies and make it possible for those companies to be there.
You know, you've been extremely successful in business and in marketing. Were there any heroes in your life that helped you attain the levels of success that you've attained?
Yes, I think everyone has heroes, whether they admit it or not. When I was growing up, my grandfather, who had cotton gins and sawmills and stores, was a source of I guess, my goals and things like that, because I had him to model. And then on my mother's side, her mother, my grandmother, was really an inspiration because she was a very busy person, but she took time out of her life, a busy life, to give back to the community. And she was another role model for me. And then I've had different role models in business and different things. For instance, when I was trying to change my life from being negative to positive, when I was an engineer, I was sort of like an engineer's engineer. I was one of the best. But you don't want a positive engineer designing a bridge for you. You want a very negative engineer that will think of everything that can go wrong. And so when I got into business, I realized I needed to think positive, because you want to think of everything that can go right. So I met Tony Robbins and adapted his technology to change my life from being negative to positive. And he's one of my heroes, just simply because of what he provided for me. And other people, like Jay Abraham is still a hero because he provided the marketing technology that I first learned about. And so everyone has heroes in their life that make their life enjoyable and also allow you to reach for something higher.
So is your grandma and grandpa that were the real heroes in your life? What about your mom and dad?
Mom and dad were great people, but they never really understood life the way that it could be experienced. And they did the best they could, and they sort of trudged through life, but they never really saw what was possible.
How did your grandma and grandpa make a positive difference in your life, other than the example that you gave of entrepreneurial success?
Well, my grandfather, my father's side, he was always doing things, and he would buy foreclosed farms and then sell them to people who couldn't otherwise buy them for a bale of cotton per year. And so he made it possible for many people in the community to move forward. And when they needed to plant crops, he loaned them money. So he was a person who really helped the community. Like when the school burned, he and the two doctors in the community essentially rebuilt the school. So he was a giver. And when you're a giver and you understand business, you can really achieve a lot in your life.
Do you think that's important in business today, to be a giver, to help other people attain great value for what you do?
Oh, yes, I think it's important in anything, especially if you're in business for yourself. If you're in business for yourself and you're a giver, you get back so much more than you give.
You know, there's a lot of people in our society. You have the sports stars, you have the movie stars, the rock stars. Who are the real heroes, do you think, in our society today?
Well, I think I've already alluded to it, Ralph. I feel the entrepreneurs are, because they make things happen. And sure, they work long hours, but they give, and by giving, they get so much back. So I think they're the unsung heroes of our society today.
You know, you look at the moms and the dads and the grandmas and the grandpas, and they really do make a big difference in people's lives. Why are heroes so important in the lives of young people today?
Well, young people tend to focus on themselves, especially in the teenage years when they're trying to discover what they're all about. And if they don't have someone outside themselves to look up to, they tend to look inside. And they get very confused, because it's not about what you want, but it's about what you are and loving yourself. And by seeing a hero, a person they can look up to, they can finally understand this and find a way they can give back too, and as such become a valuable member of the human society.
Who do you feel are the real heroes in our society today?
Well, again, I think it's the entrepreneurs, and also it's the moms and dads who help their kids grow up and learn more about what they can do as a result of what they are doing.
Why are heroes so important in the lives of young people?
Well, again, it's about what they can do to help the outside world. And when they have heroes out there, they have people they can model, and they can reduce the focus on themselves. Because if you look at yourself, you can always see pain, you can see things you don't have, you can see lack. When you look outside yourself, you can see what other people are doing and get the values that you can instill in your own life to become heroes and enjoy life.
You know, a lot of times people are trapped in jobs that they hate, and kids are just thinking, gee, what am I going to do with my life? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would advise them to find heroes and mentors and people that they admire, to look outside themselves. And if it's not someone in their community, maybe they can find the people in the literature as far as the biographies, because there's so many heroes out there that can give people what they don't have, and that's an outlook on life, and they can see the joy of giving and the joy of creating something for other people.
How are you making the world a better place?
Well, I'm doing my little part to help entrepreneurs. My idea is if I help entrepreneurs be more successful, they can give more to the world in general. They can give more to their employees, because most of the employees in the world work for entrepreneurs, not the big companies. They can give more to their families. And so in general, by helping entrepreneurs, I can help the world overall without really touching the world, but only touching the people who make your and my life much better.
In marketing is the lifeblood of any business. It's where the sales actually occur. It actually brings in money so that companies can employ other individuals. How important do you feel marketing really is in the scope of what's going on in our community today?
Well, it's everything as far as the commercial aspects of it, and even the non-commercial aspects. In marketing, you're always marketing to the other individuals around you. If you're with your wife, you're marketing the fact that you're a fantastic husband, or maybe you're doing sales as far as, I'd rather have this particular meal than that particular meal. But marketing is about creating value there so that people can enjoy things. If you just had the necessities in life, you'd have a very bland life, and the world economy would grind to a halt, because all you really need is just food and water and a minimum amount of shelter. And by working with entrepreneurs, you get a lot more in life. You get cars, you get electronics, you get movies, you get all the pizzazz. But even if you had the pizzazz without the marketing, you really wouldn't appreciate it as much as it does, because the entrepreneurs spend a lot of time marketing those products so that people can enjoy them even more.
This program, the In Search of Heroes copywriting program, is about copywriting, and copywriting is about getting people to basically invest in things that are beneficial for them. How do you feel that copywriting can make a big difference in the lives of young people in trying to create ideas that make a difference in society?
Well, I believe it was in the early days, the marketing people call marketing salesmanship in print. Somehow that salesmanship has to get to print, and that's the job of copywriters. So if you have copywriters trained in the principles you were talking about, they're going to be able to provide access to the world, to the goods and services they really want. Because if you don't have someone to help you understand what you want, then you don't have commerce, and you don't really enjoy as much. If you had all this money in the bank, but you didn't understand what you could do to enjoy it, you wouldn't have the real value in life. You wouldn't enjoy a first-run movie, or maybe going to a museum, or maybe doing, climbing up a mountain. So the copywriting is the method of allowing the ideas to get captured in print.
When I was talking with you at the Joel's conference, you were talking about the sales letter that you wrote that helped bring a lot of people into Jay's training seminar. What do you think are the most important aspects of copywriting?
Well, in copywriting, in marketing, there are three things. There's the list, and then the offer, and then the copy. I would say that the most important thing in what we're talking about in copywriting is we're talking about really bringing the three together. You have to understand what your target market is looking for, and then you have to have a valid offer. But it has to be an offer that they can understand, and that's where the copywriting comes in. So it's a combination of those three factors that allow people to go from, the paralysis of analysis to enjoying a good or service. That's where they exchange their hard-earned dollars for a feeling. And that's all that sale is exchanging hard-earned dollars for a feeling. But those feelings really make the world go round.
What do you think are the things that motivate people to actually invest in things that will be beneficial to them?
Again, I think it's a successful marketing, because otherwise they have to do all the research on their own. And, if you had to research every product you'd buy, you wouldn't buy very much. So you wouldn't have a chance to enjoy very much. So if you have good salesmen or good marketing people, they allow you to determine what you would like to have and then to have that.
Everybody talks about the importance of emotions, and every sale basically is based on the emotions of the person. What do you think about that?
Well, that's true. You don't buy a product, you buy a solution or an emotion. And so all that does is allow you to understand what that is, so you can exchange, again, your money for that emotion. Because it's not about having a car, it's having the admiration of your neighbors. It's not about having a life insurance policy. It's having the comfort knowing that your family is being taken care of. Someone needs to bring these things out in order to allow people to really experience them.
It's interesting that you, as a person who would be an engineer, especially a nuclear engineer, and the left brain activity that's required for that, as far as logical judgment, mathematical and verbal skills, how hard has it been for you to shift over to the other brain hemisphere that has the creative, the spontaneity, the intuitiveness, the emotional aspects that are so critical for marketing?
Well, it was a little harder than I thought it was going to be. But the thing is that we tell people, find what you love in life and do it, and the money will come. Well, I knew I loved marketing, and even though I didn't have the skill set that was readily apparent, it was highly dormant. I was able to develop that over a 6-year period, and by developing that, I was able to achieve tremendous success in the last 3 years that I was working with Jay. So I would say that it was a pretty dramatic change. It was not necessarily easy, but since I loved it, it was fun. And life is about having all the fun you can stand.
What were the techniques that you used? I know that there's a lot of people that are trapped in the left side of their brain in the logical area, and everybody realizes you have to appeal to the emotional desires of the people that you're marketing stuff to. What were the techniques that you used to shift over to that other side?
Well, I try to put myself in the other people's shoes, and that's highly crucial in sales. So I learned how to sell to my target market. My target market was entrepreneurs, and luckily I was one. So all I had to learn was marketing, not my target audience. So I basically learned what I needed to do in sales, and then I was able to take those same techniques and apply those to marketing.
It's funny that a lot of people think that sales is a dirty word, and that people that are salespeople, that they're despicable, they're almost below politicians. What do you feel about the value of salespeople? Well,
salespeople allow us to enjoy the standard of life we have. If we didn't have salespeople, we'd all be probably out on the farm and basically eating what we produce ourselves, and the quality of life would be very minimal. And so thanks to the fact that we have effective salespeople and marketing people, we're able to enjoy the standard of life we enjoy.
Do you feel that marketing is one of the crucial aspects of the success of any business?
Well, yes. If you don't have successful marketing, it doesn't matter about what else you do. The example I use all the time is that the difference between Microsoft and Apple. Now, Microsoft realized that how easy it was to use a computer was basically based on the operating system, and so that's what they provided, and they were able to achieve 90% of the market because of it. Now, Apple, who had a better product, thought they were selling hardware, not solutions to people's problems. And as a result, they are struggling to keep 4% of the market, the computer market. So it's really about marketing. You can have an inferior product, as Microsoft had, and eventually gain 90% of the market, where you can have a superior product and have 4% of the market. So it's not about having a superior product; it's about having superior marketing. As long as your product or service works.
Now, that's an integral part of the In Search of Heroes program, is to help kids market businesses in their local community, of the individuals that are really helping the community and giving back to the community. What's one word of advice that you'd be able to give those kids that are going to help in the marketing of those businesses?
Well, don't be afraid to dream, and then allow yourself to think big, to have big goals. There's no such thing as a goal that's too big, but there are goals that are too small. So you want to dream big and go for it.
If you had 3 wishes for your life in the world that would instantly become true, what would they be?
Well, the first thing I would say was you want to learn to love yourself. And that's easier said than done. So most people really don't love themselves. And if you love yourself, then you can love other people, and without reservation. The second thing is to understand that you make your world. It's not about your world impacting you. No one can hurt you or make you happy, either one. What happens inside your world is between your ears. And once you understand that and are able to apply that, you can have a good time anytime you want to, just by realizing that you control the way you feel. And the last part then is to know that if you want to enjoy the zest in life, go for your goals. That way you'll have a great time, and even if you fail, you'll still have a great time trying for it. But if you don't go for your goals, then you'll work for someone who is working for their goals, and you won't really have the value in your life that you could have. So that's the reason entrepreneurs are so successful in life, is that they're willing to go for their goals, and the average people aren't.
So you feel that failure is an important prospect or aspect of just becoming a better person in the process of attaining your goals?
Oh, yes. If you experience mistakes and you learn from them, that's really about what life's all about. If you look at little companies or versus big companies, the little companies are solving the companies that the big companies solved a long time before. So as you progress in the world, you have bigger and bigger problems. Like some of the small companies have problems making payroll, whereas when you get up to the Microsoft area, then you have problems with antitrust. Well, there's still real problems. But what you want to do is you want to move up in the world and have bigger and better problems. By having problems, by failing, then solving those problems, and then moving to the bigger problems.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Carl, in answering those questions. And I was wondering if you had any parting shot that you'd like to share with the young people about how to become as successful as you have in marketing.
I would say dream big, and then go for your dream, not somebody else's.
So it's important just to follow your own path and believe that it is possible to attain that.
Yes, because it is.
And the only way you can do that is how?
Oh, by first daring to dream, and then saying that I really want this and going for it. Otherwise, you're essentially a cog in a machine. I've had a successful economic machine, and you're essentially living someone else's dreams for them, or providing their dreams for them.
I did an interview with David Garfinkel the other night, and he was just talking about the ability to fail and not consider yourself a failure, but just to learn ways that things don't work. Do you believe that's true? Oh,
yes, especially in marketing. If you ever meet a marketing consultant that tells you he's never had a failure, either he has a bad memory or he's not telling the truth. Because all marketing people have failures. But as you fail and learn from those failures, then you become better and better. And the difference between the real successes in life are the people who have made mistakes and learned from them, and the people who haven't made those mistakes yet.
You know, I've talked to a fair number of people so far, and they just seem to believe that the faster you fail, the sooner you become a success. Do you believe in that?
Oh, yes, that's true. Now, you want to do everything you can to avoid failure. You learn from other people, model other people, but then once you do that, then you want to experience and go for what you want as fast as possible, but doing it conservatively. An example of conservative is you test, especially in marketing. You maybe the answer is you test small and then you go for the gusto once you know what it is. And then life is the same way. You test small, you see what you can do. Then once you understand that, then you go for your dreams.
So you think that testing your abilities is crucial to being successful?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you don't go out and run a mile the first time you go out for the track team. You want to try to maybe 100 yards and maybe a quarter mile, then half a mile, then maybe three-quarters of a mile, and then a mile. So you want to develop their skills, test, and go for the gusto.
Everybody seems to have certain abilities that make them unique. How important is it, do you feel, to create relationships with others that have abilities that you don't have?
Well, in life, it's about strengths. You want to go with the strength that you have, and then find other people to handle the things that you aren't strong at, because you never really become successful if you do all things well. What you want to do is to develop a few things extremely well, and then find other people to handle the other items. Like, for instance, when I did the $11 million in sales in 3 years, I did it with one assistant, and I guess for a while I had two. And what I did is I delegated all the things other than the selling, and then I kept track of it. And so I was able to do that with one assistant. Before that, the company that had done the same thing I had 16 employees. So by going for the strength, which I had, which was selling, I was able to do the same thing that other company did and do it with essentially one other person.
So you feel it's important to find people that can complement the strengths that you have?
Oh, yes, definitely. And also, as John Assaraf says, find people who love to do the things that you hate to.
That seems to be a pretty clear perspective on life. I mean, there's so many things that everybody hates to do, and I guess it's hard to figure out what it is that you do that's good.
Well, it's not really... You know what you hate to do. It's the thing you don't do, you put off last. Like, I hated paperwork, and so I had an assistant that loved paperwork. Now, as I was doing the sales, if I were to ask her to do a sale over the telephone, she would have froze up, and she'd have probably quit. But she loved the paperwork. So she loved what she was doing, and I loved what I was doing, and we would have both hated to do what the other person was doing. And that's the secret of life, I think, is find the things that, I guess the unspoken secret is find the things that you don't like to do, find someone who loves to do those, and then work in a complementary relationship.
So you would say that throughout your life that the people that gave you the greatest vision of being successful were your grandpa and your grandma, who were really entrepreneurs.
Yes, my grandfather had, with all his stores and cotton gins and sawmills and farms, he didn't do most of the work, but he found other people to do it for him, and he had the vision, and he had the strength of being able to pull everything together. So, and my grandmother, she did a lot of the things herself, as far as, helping neighbors and things, but the fact that she gave allowed them to enjoy a better life and to really appreciate life.
So you think that it's the grandmas and the grandpas and the moms and the dads are the people that have the greatest impact on the kids?
Oh, yes. The people who really who really believe in themselves, because you can't give something you don't have. If you don't have love for yourself, you can't give it to someone else. If you don't have the belief in yourself, you can't give it to someone else.
Well, Carl, I really appreciate your time in answering these questions, and I know that a lot of people will find it very inspiring on what you've been through and your suggestions on how to be successful. So again, I just want to thank you for your time, and really appreciate you being involved in the Heroes program.
Well, thank you, Ralph, and I think you're one of the unsung heroes, too, because by finding out what other people can do, you can then let the young people of this world know so they can avoid some of the learning curves that you and I have experienced.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Nobody needs to have to go through and re-experience the failures that we have had.
Yes, you try to do that, to avoid that as much as possible.
Well, that's true. Well, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Ralph.
Okay, bye.